Ah, now they did that. So that was me. I made that whole of that movie there, and they cut me off just as I was beginning to show you Ally Moffat, yeah, right next door to the former head of St Andrews University, who is Butcher Haig. He's the one who favoured his horses, got them all home safely, and he did not give a monkey about his troops. Yeah, that's why his bloodline has almost disappeared. And that is Ally Moffat that tells us a story about the Scottish genes and the Armstrongs and the Nixon genes being from the same pool as his. And I totally believe that, because Nixon was a murderous and treasonous bastard. He led his country into Vietnam, into the Golden Triangle, and all of the things that I've told you about already. I cannot believe that they were able to interrupt the production of a video after all the videos I've made. Yeah, but what they did was they shut me down when I got to his image. He's the rector at St Andrews. He's a friend of Jim Naughtie, and the whole lot of them are traitors to our country. And the Armstrong guy is held up as a hero, and this is what you get when you click on that little link there, because it's presumed to be a world-breaking event. So, one giant leap for mankind. Phrase de Neil Armstrong .org.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
So the earliest false news that we have, yeah, that we're capable of doing that in 1968, but now that we've got everybody's computer inside their phone, we cannot do it again, because the people are more savvy now. Yeah, and the footsteps under the thing are inexplicable in retrospect. Yeah, and all of that is perfect, because it takes you chattering away about what happened in 1968, and you totally ignore what happened to Afghanistan, Libya, yeah, the Holy Lands, Kazakhstan, what happened to Egypt, how the democratically elected president was disappeared in favour of the tank commander who gets £2 million a year in USAID for the brutalisation of his own country, so that this system can thrive into the next sickly regime. That's why I'm particularly saddened by Tom Weatherston and Alec Nichol, local people who are unprepared to confront anything that means that our country is run as a fraud. And I've seen the police inspector in my hometown, in the town square. He is a nervous wreck now, and they all understand the acts of God. Right then. So, that's the first time that they've ever been able, in my living room, to disrupt the recording of a video. I saw the red light come on, and I thought I'd run out of my batteries, but it's let me move on to the last 3 or 4 tabs. Okay, so these are the new people now that are harbouring Justice Minister Michael Matheson. Yeah, and you've got the emergency call number. So McCaskill and Matheson spout off in that video that we introduced you to at the beginning. Yeah, with all of the other quislings. Scotland was sold to the Lloyds and G4S debt pool. Willie Rennie and the former football players are now police union leaders. All of the Scotsmen condone their debt pools and the incapacity of our country to fund anything. I wrote to Salmond explaining to him how they get rid of the fake newspapers and they start printing on that paper Scottish currency. They stop border control issues and capital flight, and all of a sudden we have an icon for global freedom. But the sad bastard prefers the constitutional monarchy that we already have and the option of using the Isle of Man as the money funding vent for our country. Yeah, they are just fraudsters and cheap shot crooks. So the Scottish Police Federation representatives that are in that movie that I showed you at the beginning of the previous video now, Yeah, because I've been split into two without my consent. Okay, the Joint Central Committee, there's Calum, Steele, and all of them are ever so dogmatic when they speak. Yeah, and the whole lot of them are just cheap shot bureaucrats with clipboards and with nothing between their ears except the treasonous motives, yeah, which lead to their money stream and the trickle down, which is why the country has nothing left to spend on its public initiatives, and all of those public initiatives have become privatised things thanks to people like Hutton and these misses and all of the people who condone their activities, from the Church of Scotland into Floors Castle, where there was a massive audience paying money to see the joke about the killing of Scottish troops in kilts, which is a joke that is a joke about the killing of all of the indigenous peoples, and the kilts and the bagpipes are just like the icons carried by the 500 nations in America. Yeah? Yeah, and the feathered hats and all of the icons, it's just the same joke all of the time. And the killing of those people in Aden, which is the barren rocks of Aden joke, that is the Garden of Eden, and he's the one who climbs into the pulpit every Remembrance Sunday with the medals on his chest, and now they demonise Islam, invented by the same Piso authors that invented the word Floors Castle. That's a translation issue. Yeah, it means floors in another language, and everything that it means becomes a joke. The Nile is the Piso, yeah, and all of the jokes about the foot of the willow and kissing the feet and Sarah Ferguson and all of that stuff. It is sick, sick, sick that all of that is condoned and covered up and funded through all of world history, and we could have the democracy and freedom within a fortnight were people like Alec Nichol and Tom Weatherston to rise to the challenge. I have less faith in the former editor of the Yorkshire Post, who is Simon Mountford, who's the third representative for Kelso, right opposite the donkey field that David Murray has as a joke about Christianity and world history. And Bowden, Lord Sanderson of Bowden, he's not worthy of any of my time. He's a sad little shit and a sad little propagandist who's prepared to use the Masons to bring his country down, and everybody else gets the blame for it. David Kennedy, Deputy General Secretary, became Deputy General Secretary of the Scottish Police Federation in April. That's the Poisson d'Avril joke, 2015. Graham Edney, Vice Chairman. Yeah, they're all looking a little bit fat. Yeah, and all of them are quite conceited about how well they're doing in office, as they sacrificially make the gesture of pretending that Stephen House is leaving now, but he's not leaving till Christmas time. It's amazing how much they can steal in 6 months, and Christmas is just as sick as all the rest of the jokes. And there's the joke about him being a footballer with St Mirren. That's the victim of the English execution of Mirren in the Braveheart movie for defending her sexual favours against rape. Yeah, and all of them are Scotsmen. It's an abomination. So here's Madonna's wedding, and you can see the whole of the story there, and the whole of the sensational, the fact that the press have to sneak in to get photos of her and Guy Ritchie, and the children that have been born to her already are christened the day before she gets married. It's really fucking sick. And the whole thing is to cover the crimes of George W. Bush and Tony Blair, who's now the envoy to the Middle East and makes £10,000 an hour for giving lectures like this. Not on the same topics, may I add. Okay, so here's the next bit. and this is about sectarianism. Everywhere you go, it's a joke. Okay, so this is a different set of Morays and Murrays, and I believe it takes us to France. Yes, it does. Okay, so this is the region in France called Mornay, right in the heart there. I think that will be Switzerland next door, and that will be Italy. Yeah, so there's Basel, and there's where World War I, and there's where the cathedral, that is the Cluny Cathedral, was placed. Okay, first killings by the Peugeot General, yeah, that's the car firm, in World War I. Okay, so what we've got is a declaration that Mornay is a commune in Saône-et-Loire département in the region of Bourgogne, and the Burgons were there yesterday, and I met Marie for the first time in all of that time since I was at school, and that was us, we're neighbours on the Balfours farm. Okay, and that's eastern France, and what you've got are a whole host of communes, and they're at the bottom, 500 plus. Yes, so this is the Freemasonic networks that mean that everybody is enslaved, and the word commune is associated with socialism, you might have heard. Okay, so the following is a list of 573 municipalities of the Saône-et-Loire department of France, metropolitan Crusat-Montaut, urban community Chalon-Val de Bourgogne, created in 2001, and just look how many there are. Okay, and this is localism, and it's exactly the opposite of what you've been hearing about Stephen House. Stephen House took the 7 or 8 divisions of the Scottish Police and has now centralised them. All of the rest of the assets get sold into the toxic debt pool, so our filthy rich politicians can become filthier rich, and all of our democratic funding causes are hopelessly without money. Okay, so list after list after list, and there's the Mornays. So we've got Moray, Morley, Mornay, Morugé, Le Mot Saint-Jean, Mont Saint-Vincent, and all of the saints are listed here, no matter where they were sainted. Yeah, and this is just one of the communes and the collections of communes run in one tiny principality in France. I may have got that wrong, it may be an arrondissement, but I think that is one of the subdivisions of what happens when you get into the inner cities. Let me show you the typically sick stuff on the last tab, still on the same nomenclature and the same theme, but much more serious. This is Philippe De-Mornay. Okay, he is a Mornay du Plessis. Yeah, and I met the Springbok yesterday, who's playing for Kelso, massively well built man. Yeah, come across here from provincial rugby in South Africa to play for Kelso on a semi-amateur basis, and it gives me hope, because he looks like a very spirited man. Yeah, and all that needs to happen is that this ordinary spirited people rise up like Jim with that global experience. Yeah, with the fat problem now. Yeah, and what you've got, so this is, he was born on the 5th of November, a revolutionary night, yeah, 1549, so we've moved on in Christianity's timeline, and this one is a French Protestant. Okay, Philippe De-Mornay. This one was a German frog Protestant activist. Okay, Signor du Plessis Marly, that's the Mary name, also known as du Plessis Mornay or Mornay du Plessis, was a French Protestant writer and member of the anti-monarchist monarcho-mafias. Yeah, so you've got sectarian violence built in, and you've got someone in France who proclaims to be down on the monastery, and he's launched in the year 1549, he gets to 30 in 1580, yeah, and what we've got then is the demonisation of the kings and queens, yeah, who are allowed to carve up the religions as they wish, as we've seen with James I and James VI and James II in Scotland and England, and all of it is for perpetual divide and conquer. And now we're into the subordinate, what is it when you've got different religion denominations? Okay, anti-monarchist leads to heads off for 600,000 citizens all over Europe. That's executions under the guillotine all over Europe in the Napoleonic Wars in 1789. All eventually cover for the Naples and Neapolitan writings of the Piso family, which means floors in the castle context. And you should see the cedar roof at St Andrews with the Calpurnius Piso signature right next to the IHS initials, and when you put K over P it looks like Ker. And IHS is Insus, and that is the Insus Jesus joke. I do not want to have Guy Innes Ker executed. I want to have a conversation with him and his 2 wives, if possible. Yeah, not necessarily at the same time. It's really complicated, and I'm in a position to explain the way out for everyone, but they will not let me have any airtime. Okay, I can take you down and show you what this guy's done. You know, but you can see how divisive the whole thing is, and the du Plessis are massive. Yeah, my uncle with the Church of Scotland, yeah, another Gilbert, is registered interlocking with the du Plessis. Yeah, that's from Hamilton, from the Parks of Hamilton bus dynasty, and the whole lot of the sad bastards are without shame. He's got diabetes, and he's my auntie, who's a girl guide, the joke about the goblins on the church roof. Yeah, it's, and the brownies, yeah, same joke. It was big ears and noddy, yeah, with the little blue Phrygian hat, written in Beaverbrook's propaganda event right through World War II, and that is back into the puka jokes and all of the jokes. So do you now understand how I need to go back there and remind myself how the Murdochs fit into the story? It's in that sad tab about Gilbert. Yeah, my uncle's name is Gilbert. His wife, my Auntie Anne, who had her heart attack really young, none of them see it coming, and they do not see the dangers of continuing with that policy. Yeah, their children are married to Kemps and people who have come from those poor sub-Saharan African continents, and all of it is really sick. And she gave me a lecture in her Christmas card. Christmas, as they all know, is a fraud. Yeah, and I left a card last time I went to call at Uncle Gilbert's house, naming all of the Piso villains. Yet they know I know everything. They were the people that gifted me with the Lord of the Rings jokes, the novel about the ownership of the world, and fat cats from Hamilton being friends of Rudolf Hess. Yeah, all of it is a sick joke about their lives, and I will not stop talking until they take me down. The churches in Scotland have a particularly vicious record. That's the Covenanters Wars and all of the infighting. Yeah, all of it leads to the death of the ordinary and innocent people, and the profiteers that work for Edinburgh City Council, like my Auntie Anne, and get the free health care and get remunerated for looking after their own mother in their own home, right next to the panda with the £70,000 food budget. They are sickening, and I'm sickened by them already, and they are sickly, and have had heart attacks and diabetes, and their child gets incredible pain in childbirth, and they think that they are really, really clever, and they lecture to me, and they support my wife in everything she's trying to do to our Scottish country. Bye bye. Yeah, so the Murrays are in it, and let me just remind you how the Murdochs come in, because I'm ever so forgetful. So it's in the Gilbert De-Mornay tab, and the Murdochs, remember, I'm going to finish off with what the Murdochs created. Yeah, so this is Gilbert de Moravia, ever so loosely connected to Murray. But the Merovingian thing is the giveaway, and there is the links to Dornoch, the yellow and black, and the icons for the Murrays with the 3 stars, and the fish of April, everything for a laugh. And here was Gilbert was the son of one Murdoch, son of Alexander de Moravia of Moray. Yeah, so he got sent to the colonies by the Sutherlands. He was allowed to become a member of the CIA when he was still working in the press under a British spy as a parent. Yeah, and he then is invited by Gough Whitlam in Australia and President Ford in America to come and join the CIA. But as he transitions through Britain, he destroys our free press, and all of a sudden, yeah, the links to Murray is to the tennis racket, and it's the same fault line that was created by the creation of the falsified Christian Bible written by the Pisos, which means floor's castle, and condominium, and all sorts of other jokes that we've explained in the recent past. Okay, and it becomes where's that one about West Kilbride? No, I can't see that one. Okay, so, and there's the Levisons, yeah, and that is the head of law enforcement. He's in Liverpool. His massive estates are near the golf course and the race course called Aintree. Yeah, and the tree joke and the shrubbery joke, it's relentless. Yeah, all the law enforcers, even Blair, were remunerated again for brutalising Iraq, Syria, Egypt, Afghanistan, and he's in the chair casting judgment upon them. And there's the Mr. Dick jokes and Adam and Melrose. Gonna stop there now. So do you see, it's a succinct, when we talked about the Celtic football team and going all through it from Mrs. Simpson in goal, yeah, to the Lennoxes in the elite families in Scotland, yeah, Murdoch, there's the link, yeah, and it leads to the brutalisation and cheating and stealing of all of the democratic funds from all around the world. Yeah, and the eel is legendary, that it can take off a huge chunk of your left arm, but if you're a fascist, you're quite comfy in this team, because you've got NATO's armies right next door to the Madonna birthplace joke. Bye bye.